President Richard Boone.
Thank you, Chair. And it was a strange land that we now, with the president of our American Himalayan Foundation, Eric Stone, is one of the foundations for 25 years. It's like a second home. But in those days, the trails were narrow. We never saw anybody we knew, but there was a kindness, not in a subservient way, by the Sherpas and the Buddhists. And it had to come from somewhere. Well, the major spokesman for that, of course, is His Holiness. But Buddhism has been around for 2,500 years. We wish there were more people that looked at the fundamental message that His Holiness' fundamental message. If you want to have a happy life, the best way to get there is by trying to help others. That is what our American Himalayan Foundation has been about, getting this off to a fast start. We think UCI is going to be one of our best campuses. I can't say they're going to be better than Berkeley without getting into trouble, but they may in any event. So, by way of background, we started our work in Nepal and Tibet with 6 rugby climbers who came off Everest in 1981 with no money. Fortunately, one of them went to private equity business. And today, the American Himalayan Foundation has 150 projects. We have 14,000 girls in school that we've saved from being sold into prostitution, and we put and the earthquake we've just been there is a heartbreak, and we have just agreed to take on 4,650 more girls. I'm quite sure I wasn't paid for it, but we'll figure it out. So that led us to the idea of why shouldn't we start programs at the university and see if kids really are interested in helping the developing world. When I went to Berkeley, you could take a course in art history or music appreciation. You couldn't learn anything about Hollywood. And I found out a year later we still put a program overseas. And the enthusiasm, because we've had 12,000 kids from our classes at Berkeley, and it's just starting up here. And everywhere we go, we find young people who want to help the rest of the world at a time when everybody has
talk, or His Holiness's public talk on climate change. The talk is entitled Compassionate Climate, the Effects of Climate Change and Taking Action to Resolve This Global Issue. And on this panel, there are a number of people who devoted a great deal of time and have made a great deal of difference in raising awareness throughout the world about this global problem, this greatest threat to the future of humanity, which is climate change, otherwise known as global warming. On this panel, I would like to introduce everyone. There may be some people, by the way, because people have been added. Well, I think we know everybody here on the panel. We have among us with us Isabella Valaponia. She, in addition to teaching earth sciences and physics here, she is also a senior scientist at JPL, and she researches remote sensing to measure how ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica are being affected by climate change. We have Mia Yoshitani, who is an activist for economic and environmental justice for vulnerable communities, which were going to be greatly impacted by climate change. We also have here Dr. Ramanathan, who is also a member of your community here. He is, of course, the scientist who discovered the super greenhouse effect of linking CFCs to global warming, a very important voice in the research of climate change. And also we have with us the wonderful Walter Monk, who you should know is older than His Holiness the Dalai Lama by a few years.
Yes.
How old are you, sir?
I'm 97.
97. wants to complete his research, and you should know about him. And he was also part of the team that helped understand wave patterns that were used to time the D-Day and Normandy invasions. So this man has contributed in ways. Mayor Turkey talked about Congressman Sanchez, who's also joining us here on the stage, a very important voice as to talk about this issue. It's important to have someone from where you come and what you're doing, because clearly it's going to take people in your kinds of positions to talk about how we can actually make change. We have, of course, your chancellor also with us in your region. So let's now begin our conversation. I think that one of the most important things to understand about climate change is that it's very difficult to see it happening. And one of the problems is that we don't have the ability to see it happening because we only live a certain amount of time. But there are people who have seen change, who have seen it happen. And there's no doubt, by the way, we're not talking politics here, we're talking science here today. The train has left the station. The warming has begun. And now the question is, what can we do about it? Walter White has seen, is old enough to witness watching this change. Walter first began by telling us what the oceans were like when you were a boy and how you've seen them change.
I think firstly, I want to see, you come here, you're
He wants you to just this person. He wants you So the two of you, wise men, who care about the future of our planet, talk to us about what you've seen in terms of what has changed with the climate.
Well, the oceans have gotten warmer. Sea level since I was born has gone up 20 centimeters. And talking about climate change has continued all the time. And I want to tell His Holiness that I walked away from yesterday's discussion to see that I am on the side of saying that the data is overwhelmingly in favor of proving that there has been overwhelming, there has been sea level rise. The people in the consumption of fossil fuels are responsible. But the question of whether we can do something in time to help is the most difficult one. And I walked yesterday away from yesterday's discussion that the word compassion is the answer. And I think we know a lot more, even if our knowledge is imperfect, about the climate issue and the ocean warming and the data, then we know whether there will be adequate compassion for people in other countries to help those who need to be helped in times to come.
So, to understand some perspective on this, 97% of climate scientists agree. Politicians disagree, but climate scientists really don't disagree. 97% say that climate change is here and that man-made actions are part of the reason. So now the question becomes, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, since 2000, for many, many years, but in 2012, talked about climate change. You warned that every nation will suffer if governments don't think about the impact, about doing what they can, and don't think about the common interests of humanity, not just their national interests, but the common interests of humanity. And you have said that since climate change and the global economy now affect us all, we have to develop the sense of oneness of humanity. So what is your response to this idea about whether we can do something to change this future?
I don't know. But in the end, you see, we have to make effort. Then you will fail, no regret. But right from the beginning, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. That's, I think, the foundation of failure. No matter how difficult it is, make an effort. Not one time, second time, third time, fourth time. Usually we say, we have said 9 times failure, 9 times re-effort. So, I think the important is your goal is something right. Here right means right means this is something benefit, something relevant to our happy future. So now the climate issue, global warming, these I think ultimately question of our survival.
I have the solution.
So it is something really, really important. And then I was vegetarian, expressing I come to and I have a meeting with the scientist. I myself quite ignorant. So inside we were in Tibet. Any water you can drink. Then I come outside. And then people say, this water can drink, this water cannot drink. Why? And then, you see, I realized, oh, it is so serious matter. And at the same time, I had this hope is to develop some friend in Stockholm. In the middle, there's one big river. Some my friend used to told me, sometime there, no fish, and that river was too much polluted. Then, you see, gradually, some fish reappear because in the riverside manufacturing, you see, can make special arrangement, not polluted water. So that shows, you see, we have, without a close factory, tea factory, still we want, but pay most attention, not damage environment. So we have different technology, we have the method. So then, actually, there's plenty of water. So that same, I think in California also, I think, you have the technology, you have, I think, manpower, instead of concentrating on big city, maybe better in these sort of empty land, cultivate land, use seawater, and then, you see, in India also, I often express the real development, real transformation of India should start in village, farmland, countryside. Countryside, century-old circle of life. Then some big cities, always easier to expand, more building. So I think overall, I think we should pay more attention to cultivation. And then, now the roads, is from airport up to the city. You see, there's some area, was it green? Some area, was it desert. So the same area, so it is dependent on our effort. You see, so there is a possibility to grow more trees, more plantation. So this, since it is some time back, I feel, you see, of course, I only pray for something like wishful thinking. Sahara, huge area. So use this technology, solar power, and then build this factory. Then, I think, become the desert land. Eventually it can be green land. That also, not only more people get work and livelihood, but also I think climate condition, also I think more green, more tree, I think some effect. So maybe empty word, I don't know. So I'm using the freedom of expression. Something outside, they also express using the freedom of expression. So also I use that.
Let us continue then with the freedom of expression, and in your Holiness, you talked about the moral issue and talked about the many people, the billions of people really, who will suffer if something isn't done. Dr. Manathan, you know a great deal about this. Oftentimes, we hear people unable to find a way through the politics of climate change, saying, well, China is really doing a lot of things that are hurting the environment. And then China saying, well, what kind of moral authority do you have, the United States? Because you're the one who started this whole thing anyway. And we get caught up in all these sort of national debates. But you were part of the team of scientists who helped Pope Francis, who just recently
we need to provide the access. Unfortunately, those technologies are off the shelf. So none of the problem of the climate change is an unsolved problem. The key to that is compassion. And we, the top scientists in the world, we have about 20 Nobel laureates, theologians, philosophers. This is May 2014. We concluded this problem now is out of the hands of scientists, even media, or even leaders. It's at the hand of faith leaders of the world. You have to, Your Holiness, pursue the billion many of us are saying here. This is a problem of compassion. Thank you.
the idea, he has a response.
Of course, I often express once my weakness is once open my mouth, then blah 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 blah. So, he's a good person. That's my point. So I just want to share. You see, they trying to create this world. You see, firstly, this century should be non-violent century. But we consider war as something normal. Individual, few persons killed, murder, very bad. 1,000 people killed, normal. And sometimes you see, even replace war hero, like that. So I think the reality much changed. Today's world, each continent heavily dependent on other continent. Within the continent, country, every country, economy, environment, everything interdependent. So whole world, that kind of reality. So according to that reality, war, destroy your neighbor or other country. In ancient time, destroy of the nation or community which creates some problem for you is your victory. Now today's reality, no longer that. Destroy so-called your enemy is actually destruction of yourself. So that's the reality. So therefore, our perception, our concept, still in our mind, war. So our perception still thinking old way. Reality must change. So now we must act according to reality. So now in order to create center of dialogue, in order to bring center, in order to create center of peace. So then different nations, I think individual nations, very possible, demilitarize. The possible war is outdated. So any problem through talk, through dialogue. So war machine no longer relevant. Yesterday we mentioned first that nuclear weapon should eliminate. Then eventually offensive weapon. Then eventually I think defense ministry change some kind of another work. so then, as you mentioned, I think we can see plenty of money. Each country, I think, except some countries not supposed to spend much money for defense, for war mission. But bigger nations, you see, I think it's actually very harmful for their own cause. You see, limit all these are very bad. Something enemy side, mentally from more distance, they themselves feel isolated. Then they become lawlessness. Or bring together. So that I just want to share, you see, with compassion feeling, sense of global responsibility. Then, you see, try to make this world more peaceful, more compassionate. Then we can save a lot of money. Then that money can strengthen like our ecology protection of these things. That's how I think.
The world as one place and to not see it with divisions, but rather those of us who have power to make a change and those of us who don't, who are the overwhelming majority. Reminds me of an Inuit leader who said to me on Greenland when I was interviewing him, he said, why should my people, who by the way are dying because they're falling through melting ice that they never saw before, who aren't able to hunt for seal as they used to, because ice is melting so quickly. He said, why should my people pay the price for your lifestyle? He said, we are the canary in the gold mine, and we are telling you the earth is warming. It's warming fastest here, and it's coming to you. For all of our sakes, the sake of our world, but for your children, and for your children's children, it's time to act now. Which brings us to Isabella, I should call you Professor Vadagonye. You have been looking at the data, and it's hard for people to understand, and I would hope that you could help us understand how fast melt is happening. We've been seeing melt, and the people who argued against whether climate change is happening have said, well, there's always has been sort of up and down with melting. But then 97% of scientists of whom you're world climate scientists, of whom you are a member, who agree that climate change is only happening, it's already started, have indicated that there's a degree of melt that's happening that's so fast, and we're seeing in Antarctica, and we're seeing in Greenland, which is inside the Arctic Circle, that it does not reflect anything we've seen before. Can you help us understand what your science is discovering?
So, what we know, we have now, very lucky for this, 40 years of modern observation, and what this tells us the ice is from the ice sheet is melting in the ocean is very melting faster than we would have ever thought, based on what we knew before. And this is very important because it's not based on a short period, it's a relatively long period. And we're seeing, and we know that things can happen very fast on our planet. We know that when in the past, when our planet was about almost as warm as, we are almost there, we are almost the same time. The ice sheets melt a lot, and sea level goes 5 to 6 meters higher. So we know we're kind of heading there. We don't know how fast this is going to happen because it's complicated to predict what the glacier are going to do. But we know that this is happening, and because the observation are telling us.
Politics, we're not talking parties here, we're talking about the one party, which is a party altogether of all of us. If this is the issue facing all of us, what do we
There are positive things going on. There are a lot of solutions, and we invent them in California. So innovation is happening here. You will invent them.
Maybe the question I should change, Your Holiness, and ask you then, if I may ask you, what would you say to the people who are in charge of the world and leadership in this country and throughout the world about their responsibility to step up to the challenge of the warming of the planet to climate change? What should they do?
I think in 73, I first visited Europe. So in Switzerland, I think Geneva, somehow, was our friend, and some NGOs. This is some friend. Maybe we sort of just casual talk. Then sometimes I decide my own tongue, thoughts.
Sharp tongue.
A sharp tongue.
Sharp tongue.
So at our casual talk, I express with respect the present generation at the time, early 70s, you see, present generation, anyway, their mind model is fixed. So I have not much hope. I mentioned that. And one of my friends said, I think the Red Cross or someone, I know very well, you say, he said, believe it. Surprised. As I mentioned earlier, our prescription, still, this is what I'm saying. Stuck in the old thinking, The reality much change. And then sometimes you say, leaders, now for example, Copenhagen summit, is all, I think, ecology or something. But then, there are some important nations, you see, they take interest in their own nation first, priority. That global sort of interest. So we can't win that. They have the responsibility to look after their own nation. But from judging from humanity's level, then they should take the global interest first, then national interest. Some of these are only go through, holistic education, not only the material value, according to our lifestyle, materialistic lifestyle. So, plus education about our inner life. And people from such education, then naturally I think they think first humanity, world, planet. Planet happy. Each sort of nation or country get national benefit. So therefore, I think each nation's, another sort of responsibility is serving humanity, build happy humanity. Then automatically, individual nation get national benefit. So here again, I feel the compassion means, you see, central control of others will be. Then that automatically bring sense of global responsibility. Then I think world, our body, our life, our survival, our body will need drink or eat because of that, food. And food also, variety of food, and medicines, and also exercise. Many things for survival, so fitness of body. Similarly, the world climate problem is one aspect of that. The world violence, these things, also another sort of aspect of the problem. So then, eventually, you see, as I mentioned earlier, end of this century, population will reach 10 billion. Then another 50 years, maybe 15 billion. I don't know how to handle that problem. You see, too much birth control also is not very appropriate. And then the best thing is more monks, more nuns. Then I said, the warming, I believe, you see, the whole galaxies, different galaxies, they are positioned, you see, to millions of years, you see, some changing. Our own planet, the position, you see, 1,000 years, you see, changing. So maybe, so then, you see, we can't change that beyond our control. But then, some portion, definitely, according to these experts, many scientists, you see, as you see, or mentioned, you see, our own action made some contribution. So, we have to look for the holistic. Then the generation and politicians also, you see, the generation who grew up that kind of way of thinking. that kind of lifestyle. You see, sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it is difficult. But then, unless you see, we create a school for politicians. So you see, I think the concept, some world, you see, many problems, you see, start from top, not from there. So it's difficult. So we can't, you see, we can't blame this individual. You know. These people come from the society. Society is such materialistic thinking, materialistic life, drugs, money. And in order to get more money, use power. Okay. Don't do that. So I don't know, really I don't know. When I wish for the government and politicians some problem, then they still say, Kana Swiss.
There's a Tibetan saying that the sore inside your mouth needs to be healed from inside the mouth itself.
So you have the opportunity and ability.
We have only a few minutes more left. I know that you wanted to say something, Regent Boone.
I think now seeing when you have a city like Beijing where you can hardly walk around because the air is so bad that they're making an effort. John Paulson, who used to be Secretary of Treasury, has been over there with negotiations after negotiations. But if we don't do something about China, which is still opening a new coal plant virtually every week, we're not going to get anything. Now, the new coal plants are better, but they're not good enough. But in terms of, in this country, in terms of hydro, in terms of wind, in terms of solar, there's a lot more they can do. And these are good businesses, and they're not just because they're good for the planet, they're just good businesses to be in. I think the EPA standards that my wife Diane Feinstein had something to do with California. Made a difference. But I don't know that we can move fast enough. I've been looking at those Himalayan glaciers for a lot of years now. But I can tell you about the mountains. They don't look any older than some of us do. But the glaciers are disappearing quickly. So I share the same concerns you all had, but there are opportunities. But I understand what Loretta's up against. It's easy for us to talk about wanting to change here, but if you're from a state like Kentucky where all you do is turn out coal, and you say, well, quit turning out the coal, what do you tell the people to do with their lives? And the problem is, I think coal is produced in something like 40 different states. That's why you have a problem getting the legislation done. So the problems are there, we've got to continue to work on them, but don't forget China. And I think India is a growing concern over the years as well. But one of the things that I think in the development world that is underutilized is hydroelectricity.
Right. Thank you very much, Regent Boone. I don't think Wallace smiled at Leonard Walser's face.
We have President Lucia. I'm just stand up for that.
No, you can sit down.
You sit down and I stand up.
Bad knees. We were making.
Here we are.
So this is a gift from the University of California, San Diego. It's representing institutional oceanography. we have world famous biologists, marine biologists. They go to the deep ocean and identify new species and name them after, well-known scholars and leaders. There is a reason for choosing this particular species deep in the ocean, living away from the sun. Species like this are the ones which give more back to the planet than they. I've done exactly that throughout his life. He takes very little and returns in abundance. So, do you want to add anything else more?
No, I think said it beautifully.
So we have named the species Sirso Dalai
Actually, since my childhood, some sort of insect, like scorpions, I can touch. Many people fight it. And snake also. But the caterpillar. So recently, when I visited the Australia's center, that was Uluru, the local people, indigenous people, the form of welcoming, you see, some kind of pot, you see, made by wood. And then inside, some sort of, I think a tree, skins, tree barks, and then two caterpillar. This is supposed to eat. I expressed this, that's tank. Then give back, they eat. So best gift. Picture okay,
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you all of you for being here for His Holiness's birthday. And as usual, what happens is that while it's his birthday, we are the ones who got the gift. Thank you so much for being here.
nó đây làm được chứ ở Trinidad đâu làm được.
Làm được.
Here, but they cannot do Tibet. Trinidad cannot do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just went back from. I just came from there about last week.
Yeah. 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, they will not let you dance?
No, China don't let them
They
dance.
can gather like this.
They can do that.
Because the China,
Security, huh? Yeah, everywhere.
There is a
Yeah.
If you have a picture of Dalai Lama, you go to jail, they say.
Yeah.
You cannot
Yeah.
talk about this Dalai Lama ever.
Never.
We're not allowed to come back.
Yeah.
That's a no-no.
Yeah.
It is really bad. We feel so bad for the Tibetan in China.
Yeah.
Just like one block, they have a booth of
Police.
government. The police is there.
Yeah.
And at night time, they are everywhere. The police everywhere.
Yeah. So they can't do anything. They can't do
Where
anything.
the temple, where the temple and where's the monastery, the police is everywhere, and most of the police is Chinese. You can tell the difference between Tibetan and Chinese.
You are Vietnamese?
Yeah.
I can't tell by how you look, but by your voice. I'm surprised you got into Tibet. You are American citizens?
Yeah, American.
And
But
the Tibetan let you in, I'm surprised.
yeah, but my Tatao Asian, he do something in Nepal. We went to Nepal.
They have a connection.
They had connection, so they let me in. Yeah, I know. Very hard.
Politics while we was there. Not allowed to talk about politics. Can only visit.
I just seen in my hotel last night. Do you know Dennis Rodman, basketball player? He went to North Korea.
Yeah.
Bring the Americans,
Uh-huh.
and he sits with the leader.
Yeah, no.
And the basketball game was everybody in the audience they clapped like robots. I know. But he had a chance to meet him again after.
Yeah.
In a like skiing place, but Dennis Rodman is like me, alcoholic. He drank too much and messed up the chance. I have 8 years yesterday sober.
Oh yeah.
You
Good.
good job.
Do you guys do Facebook? Yeah?
Yeah.
Little bit?
Yeah.
We can change.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We can.
We're from San Rafael.
Yeah, you are up there?
No, we are here globally. We are in Westminster.
By the airport.
Yeah.
But the people here by this, my hotel is by this airport. Very rich people live right by the airport.
I know.
I've never seen that before. Because only maybe one plane every half hour. Oh yes, loud, huh?
Yeah.
It looks easy, but I don't think it's so easy.
You go huh?
I think if you smile big enough, they won't notice.
I think that's the only Lama's line.
You came here for vacation?
No, I live in San Rafael, by San Francisco.
Yeah.
Came down just to see Dalai Lama.
Oh.
Yesterday I seen him the
Did you see him yesterday?
I don't have a ticket. I try to what I can.
It was sold out at the end?
Sold out, yeah, sold out.
Surprised.
This afternoon too, sold out.
Oh, yeah,
So,
this
yeah,
is a small place.
Yeah, but we got this morning I can get in. I can get in because this morning get the topic not much interesting. So we all that's why I had to get in.
Saving the world is not interesting.
But now I want 1:30. Interesting.
You had ticket for one?
No, not now.
Maybe again you're gonna wait. Maybe you can get from somebody. Sometimes people have extra.
Yeah, I know.
And they give away.
I know.
I've had good luck that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen him 40 times now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 40
Last 20
times?
years all around the country.
Oh.
Many times I go with no ticket and I just stand around and people come up you just look at them. They know, oh, you don't have ticket, and they give you because their friends can't go or something. You skip
that's good. I may try.
And maybe if only one,
Yeah.
your wife, she's
Yeah,
your wife.
right, yeah.
Maybe you can go with her part and she can come out and give and she can go in.
Yeah. You into you get
Yeah,
ticket?
and tomorrow too. There's tomorrow too. Do you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Sold out too tomorrow.
I don't know. I didn't check, but this afternoon. Yeah.
Check maybe tomorrow. There's tickets maybe too.
Yeah.
It's also sold out.
It's sold out.
Yeah.
I was telling him I've seen Dalai Lama 40 times. I trained for the last 20 years. Many times I didn't have ticket. I just come walk around outside and someone comes with a friend.
Oh, yeah. Maybe
And they give away free tickets.
maybe try.
Maybe if you hang out, maybe even if just for one of you and one
Yeah.
goes in for a little while and come out and
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We may try that. Yeah.
nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Online is sold out.
July 8, 2015, we were to cross Trinidad to Trinidad Island. Here we in Miami right now. go to the gate to go to
are located in locked overhead compartments near the exits. With a loss of electrical power or in a smoke-filled cabin, an emergency lighting system installed at floor level will illuminate and lead you to these exits. There is a safety information leaflet in the seat pocket in front of you. It gives details of our emergency procedures and equipment carried on board. They special choosing the services of Caribbean Airlines, where we offer you the warmth of the islands.
travel Obrichiago to friend Guyana. It's Lucia.